So before we start, I'm just going to ask and could kind of cease the talking because we know that this room carries sound very large, very loud. Okay, so thank you everyone for coming this morning. Clearly, on yesterday, December 12th, the United States Department of Justice, especially the Southern District of New York, released their report from the investigation into patterns and practices, a pattern and practice investigation into the Mount Vernon Police Department. This investigation was started back in December of 2021. Actually, it was started even before that, maybe not through the DOJ, but when I came into office and saw a lot of complaints or disciplinaries that were unaddressed, and we knew that there had been some files and some questionable behavior. Back in 2020, we sent those up to, at that time, DA Scarpino for review. We know COVID happened and lots of things happened, but we never got any investigative information back into those files. When DA Roca won, we sent the same files back up to DA Roca and we said, look, we want to understand if we have bad actors in our department. We are not getting anything else through these investigations and we need another level of scrutiny. And that was provided in these cases. There were cases, at least about a dozen of them, that were referred to the U.S. Department of Justice. And so I want to be very clear from the very beginning that this administration and the city and the police department has actually said that, we believe there are some challenges in our department, and so we haven't run away from it. And before an investigation or before a report came out, we started implementing reforms back as early as March of 2020. So just to be clear, over the past 3 years, we have fully collaborated and participated and been in compliance with the Department of Justice in providing them over 100,000 pages of documents, full access to the reporting systems that we have, whether they were new or antiquated, as you've seen somewhat in the report, to make sure that they were able to obtain the information they needed. They've had full access to our leadership, our officers at every level, our corporation counsel's office to ask questions that needed to be asked. They have done interviews throughout the community, and they have put the report forward. We know that there have been 3 primary findings into the patterns and practices, and that one is excessive force. The second one is strip and body cavity searches, and the third one is arresting people in a location where there could have been a search warrant, but not necessarily an arrest warrant for that person and without probable cause. There have been other findings which our leadership will speak a little bit more to as we go throughout this process. We did have an opportunity, as is in our press release, to meet briefly with the DOJ on the 11th, which I believe was Wednesday. Yes, we met with them on Wednesday. They gave us a very high-level overview of the report. Yesterday, about 15 minutes before it was released, we received a copy of the full report. And for the last 24 hours, because it's only been about 24 hours since we've had the full report, we've been reading it and we continue to digest it. Please know that we are committed to continuing to work with the Department of Justice and working with our police officers and our police leadership to respond to all of the concerns here. I know that our police officers as well as our leadership are committed to safety and to good policing. This reviewed over, I think they went back to 2011 in some cases, even though they focused on 2015 to 2023, and over 14,000 arrests they looked at. And this report speaks to about 18, but we're going to go from there. We have driven from the very onset of this administration. We've driven reforms. We have revised policies. We have updated SOPs, and we have put an emphasis on training as well as implementation of technology. and making sure that our police officers have the equipment that they need to do constitutional policing. Clearly, our city has limited resources, and that's something that we've spoken about. That's something that you will see in this report. But I know that over the past 4 years that we have invested over $8 million of money into the police department for purchasing of equipment, for purchasing of body cameras, cameras that go throughout the police department, cameras throughout the city, and I'll speak more detail to that. So prior to and over the course of the investigation, as I said, we've been committed to reforms. So some of the things that we've done since 2020, when I came into office, we've developed and/or revised 18 policies to ensure constitutional policing and to enhance community safety, including strip and cavity search policies, use of force policies, internal affairs investigation policies and operating procedures, as well as civilian complaints policies and procedures. In 2022, we assigned a full-time, in 2023, we assigned a full-time sergeant to enhance and oversee the training unit. And we provide over 60 topics of training annually, included but not limited to body cameras, procedural justice, implicit bias, improving police and public trust, vehicle stops, and probable cause for search and seizures, prisoner search training, and use of non-lethal force, persons in crisis, and engaging vulnerable populations. We've increased the number of body-worn cameras and introduced dashboard cameras. And as I said, we've installed cameras in our cell blocks, our Sally Port, and our halls to make sure that prisoner transport and search is safe throughout the police department. We've expanded training on the use of tasers, pepper spray, and other non-lethal tools. We've invested in software and hiring of civilian public safety analysts that allow us to track not only patterns of crime, but patterns of use of force, civilian complaints, internal affairs investigations, traffic and pedestrian stops, and now we have added new policies around the collection of demographic data, not just for arrests, but even for pedestrian stops and vehicle stops. We've hired a civilian deputy commissioner of wellness and reform and instituted a wellness precinct and a mobile crisis response team for our citywide co-response model of policing, making sure that we're supporting vulnerable populations. And this is important because we know a lot of challenges and challenging arrests come when you're dealing with people who have autism or individuals who might have a mental health diagnosis or who are substance users or who are homeless. And so we're doing specialized training around that to make sure that we're engaging those populations as in police calls and stops, but also that we're providing services through the police department and our providers and partners to make sure that those vulnerable populations are being served. The Wellness Division also looks after officer wellness. And why is that important? Because officer wellness, if you're not well, it is hard for you to go out into the community and help the community be well. And so we've invested in officer wellness. We've hosted community conversations and town hall meetings and met with neighborhood associations to talk about safety in their neighborhood and building relationships with the police and having trust. Because we can talk about statistics and we can talk about a reduction in homicides or reduction in different crime statistics, but it's about whether people feel safe. And so we have to continue to have those conversations. We have added here in the city of Mount Vernon an Office of Neighborhood Safety and Engagement, who will continue to work with our neighborhood associations, civic, not-for-profit, and faith and community leaders, and partner with our Director of Constituent Services to continue to involve our stakeholders in public safety plans. We understand that public safety is not just about policing, but it's about public partnerships and public-private and government partnerships to increase public safety, a sense of well-being, reduce violence, improve quality of life, and improve policing relationships. We will continue to do this work here in Mount Vernon. We will continue to work with the Department of Justice. We will be meeting with DOJ again on Monday to continue our conversations. They will be coming to address our officers and roll call. We do know that they will be hosting and convening a virtual town hall meeting on Monday night, and the conversation will continue. This is not just a one and done. While we acknowledge all of the findings, we also lift up some of the things that we had already seen and started to correct, and we will continue to work with the DOJ to do that and to ensure that we have the trust and faith of the public that we serve every day. And with that being said, I'm going to step to the side and give space to our acting police commissioner, Commissioner David Gibson. Thank you.
Good morning. We're still, as a command staff, the police department is still reviewing the DOJ's findings. So we're reviewing that, and we're going to continue making those recommendation changes for the department. We take these findings very serious. DOJ put work into it, so we have to correct the shortcomings that they found. We're going to take all necessary steps to improve our organization. We will continue to hold our police officers, command staff, myself, in the highest regards of accountability. So again, we take this investigation or these findings very serious, and we need to improve the department. We are making strides, huge strides, as the mayor pointed out, in that direction, and it is working, and we're going to continue to make it work. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Chief Marcel J. Oliviers of the Mount Vernon Police Department. Just to echo what the mayor and the commissioner said, we realize that we have deficiencies which we have to correct. We're in the process of doing that. We've been doing it from the time that we started. We look forward to working with the Department of Justice to enhance the way we serve the community. Through this report and through some of the changes that we've made and will continue to make, we'll become better. We will serve the community in a safe manner, and we will be doing constitutionally correct policing. Going forward, as always, these are some of the recommendations and remedial measures that we have already begun to work on or have already completed. In the enhanced use of force training and reporting standard and requirements, we have updated our use of force reports. We've been drafted and approved by council, and the report has been implemented. Training has been moved to a hybrid between standardized roll call training and the implementation of Power DMS software that allows for the pushing out of information to officers, which places training, the manual, and law enforcement into a desktop and mobile app. Reporting will be better with the implementation of the Tyler Technologies, with its embedded modules for the use of force and the demographic capture. These are all steps that we are working on. Adequate supervision, number 2, and accountability of strip searches. The strip search policy was implemented. However, we will ensure that the regular auditing of arrests occurs to verify that the search that occurred was not, in fact, a strip search. We also have regular reminding of staff of the policy to ensure continued compliance. And we also have body-worn cameras and new cameras that have been placed in the cell block and on the interior and exterior of the building. Number 3, to conduct lawful arrests and detentions. The Westchester County DA's office has been conducting stop, question, and frisk and other law enforcement pertinent training to the department since 2023. Each field training officer class is taught this, and as they are in field training. A review and drafting of policy specific to arrest situations will be conducted in the immediate future, and the Patrol Division has started a random review of body-worn cameras to be in compliance with the laws and department policies. Number 4, development policies and training related to vehicle stops. Immediately implemented a demographic capture policy prior to the new RMS implementation that will track the information automatically. We will develop standard operating procedures to standardize vehicle stops, including the legal standard to conduct the stop, the case law pertinent to length of the stop, and the search of the people and vehicle. We're going to continue training and tactics during this time for car stops. Number 5, collect and analyze data. Tyler, which is our new RMS system, which we're currently working on, will allow us to do this automatically. However, we will be assigning a department employee to collect the data prior to Tyler and have the command staff review the data to see if trends are occurring. Training and discipline may be used to stop any immoral, illegal, or unjust behaviors. 6, increase oversight of evidence collection and data. The data implemented a blind administrator policy to ensure that ID procedures are in compliance with the current legal and law enforcement standards. Biannual reviews of evidence by IA, and that's our internal affairs unit, an audit of the inventory review. This is the department DCJS accreditation standard and policy as well, which I'd like to add the department was reaccredited this last year. Yeah, for the maximum period of 5 years. Implemented increases training for, number 7, implemented increased training for supervisors. The current 3-day training for new supervisors will be increased to a month-long training. There will also be implementation of quarterly training specific to supervision that will be conducted in conjunction with the City of Mount Vernon's Human Resource and Law Departments. Regular training both in and out of house, in and out of the department, specific to supervision, such as FBI Law Enforcement Development Association, as well as other law enforcement agencies trainings, including New York State DCJS supervision course for first-line supervisors. 3, regular review of work of supervisors, such as report writing and review, how to conduct a complaint investigation, and how to adequately review the use of force for all incidents. We're going to adopt, for number 8, we're going to adopt more stringent accountability standards. Our internal affairs has been tasked with reviewing all use of force incidents and civilian complaints, and also conducts regular reviews of the body-worn camera video and cell block video. This will be standardized via a standard operating policy. All internal affairs members are currently sent to internal affairs training and occasionally go to other internal affairs related trainings. And number 3, the Patrol Division and the DA's office local branch conduct regular meetings to discuss issues and concerns that the DA's office or PD may have noticed or come across in any of the reports. Number 9, improved technology and infrastructure. There's been a purchase of new computers, softwares that obtain better collection of data, cameras that capture more of the department building, including the cell block, as well as public streets, as well as additional body-worn cameras and in-car video systems to better capture police and public interactions. Number 10, we for enhanced officer safety and wellness, body-worn cameras protect the community, the city, and the officer. The purchase of less lethal options for officers has happened. We have 100 compliance with existing implicit bias and de-escalation training. We continue citizen police academies and youth police academies, and we have other community events. And our wellness division was implemented, as they said earlier. With that, I will turn it over. Commissioner Wagner.
To the last recommendation, number 10, to enhance officer safety and wellness, it's really important for us to look at the role of marrying organizational wellness, the safety and wellness of our officers, as well as the safety and wellness of our community. And I think the marrying of those three will help us in moving forward in a path on where we need to be as a community, how we can speak to the recommendations identified in the report, and how we can help improve our relationships and keep our community safe. Thank you.
So clearly, aside from the incidences that you see throughout the report, one of the biggest recommendations were ensuring that there was strong supervision, ensuring that there were adequate policies, enforcement and review of those policies, and auditing of those policies, discipline, and training. And those are the things that we are definitely focusing on here in the city of Mount Vernon, as well as expansion of the use of technology and making sure that we have proper equipment. One of the other things that we found in the DOJ report, which we feel they kind of missed, right? We're not disagreeing, but we feel that they missed some opportunities to give us credit for some of the things that we have done. It says that there has been no discipline of officers or anything of that nature. I can tell you that in the past 3.5 to 4 years, we have terminated and or forced retirement for people, some for unconstitutional policing, some for untruthfulness or whatever, but we have absolutely ensured that we have investigated and brought in additional tools to make sure that when the cases that we send up to the DA's office don't come back as a criminal offense, but they are a violation of department policies and constitutional policing, that we still have a way to ensure that discipline is brought or that removal of these individuals from the police department is still pursued. And one of the partners that we have brought in, and I think we are probably the only police department in the country to do something so bold, is to hire a civil rights attorney who has prosecuted police cases to serve as our inside counsel to advise our commissioner and our chief on how to bring forth charges and move through some of these cases. And so with that, I'm going to ask for William Wagstaff III to come forward and just kind of speak a little bit as to his role and to some of the impact that this work and this partnership has been able to bring on constitutional policing and improvements in discipline in our department.
Good morning. As the mayor said, my name is William Wagstaff. I am a civil rights attorney, and you may remember in 2021, the mayor took the initiative to bring me in to be special prosecutor of police discipline. And while we accept the findings, fair is fair. And what the report did not have, it was quick to flag our failures, but it didn't sing our successes. And there were successes since the mayor has put us collectively on the mission to address misconduct in the police department. You may recall, and there's a paper trail, look at the press release. She spoke about 2 specific officers in 2 specific instances. Both of those officers have been terminated. She spoke about an investigation into the now disbanded narcotics unit. And something that was done is that we've made an application to the court for the permission to assign shadow counsel to an officer who was prominent on the recordings that were heard, so we could try to truly get to the bottom of what exactly happened before this administration started. Unfortunately, the court was not willing to go there. We made a motion to renew and re-argue, but understanding the financial limitations of the city of Mount Vernon to continue to battle to the appellate division up to the Court of Appeals was something that we just could not afford. But it is an indication that work has been done. There have been 4 police officers over the last 3 years that have been terminated. Looking at the history of this department, I don't believe that there's ever been a period of time that 4 have been terminated 2 were let go for misconduct. There were at least 2 civilian members of the police department who were terminated, 4 other individuals that have been disciplined. All of this is available, the charges, the disposition of these actions. So to say that there's been no accountability is categorically false. We will continue to work. We will continue to do what the Department of Justice has called upon us to do and what the Constitution demands. But the public does deserve to know that we have not sat by idly and just allowed this to go unchecked. Thank you.
And so with that, I'm going to open it up for questions. Like I said, we have had this for 24 hours, and our conversations with DOJ have just started. We didn't have as many findings also as Yonkers, right? And they were in Yonkers, I think, for about 17 years. One of the things that I would like to do is use whatever monies that we have to spend to invest in our department. We have limited resources, but we will be working with DOJ and having that conversation. I think it's absolutely too early to talk about how we will move forward and what that will look like. How we got, yeah. Well, I think how we got here is to really talk about the history of policing. And we're sitting here in 2024 and we're looking back on policing going back as far as 20 years. And policing has changed, and rules and policies and regulation has changed, and national focus has changed, and culture is still changing, right? And so a lot of things that you've seen in the report are things that have happened going in policing for a long time. So you can write a policy and you can do training, but making sure that you are providing supervision and that you're working to change culture, it takes a little bit longer. And that's not making an excuse. That's just true because, you know, Mount Vernon, I'm not going to stand here today and act as if we're the only department that struggles with any of these issues. This is systemic, and that's what 21st century policing kind of came and talked about when it was introduced a few years ago. I can't speak to the details of everything that happened. I had to read the report like you. And there's not enough details to always go back and capture exactly when, where, and how. But I can let you know that in 2020, when we came and we saw some files and we saw some information and we received information, that we immediately handed this information over to the DA's office in partnership and looking for them to help us investigate. Right? Because they say you can't always police yourself. And so that's why we brought in outside entities. And so we've never hid, we've never run from this issue. We're not running from it now. We have expanded our partnerships. We work on a regular basis, on almost a daily basis with the ATF, the DEA, the FBI, the Westchester County Safe Streets Task Force, the Westchester County DA's office, as well as the Westchester County Police Department and our surrounding partners. We continue to expand our partnerships with our community partners, looking at and focusing on what reform looks like. Look, when I was hired, there were people who left automatically, right? Because I came in with a vision of reform. And that is something that we've been doing, and it is something that we are committed to, and it is something that we will continue to move forward to. I can't tell you when it began, but I can tell you that we are working on a daily basis to make sure that it ends. Any other questions? Is there anything I've left out? You sure? Okay. Well, again, you know, we are thankful because, look, I've been the type of leader that has called people into our house to help us identify problems. If you don't have the right diagnosis, then you can't find the right prescription and the right solution to heal it, right? And so DOJ has absolutely provided us with a deep dive that we could not do on our own. And we will use the 10 remedial recommendations that they have given us, and we will continue to work on those. It will be our guideline, it will be our benchmark, it will be our guideposts as we continue to move forward in areas of training, supervision, accountability, technology, and so many different areas. We're going to continue to transform, and we're going to continue to move forward, and we're going to continue to work to rebuild trust in our community. And it's not just starting yesterday with the report. It actually started in 2020. And we will continue to work and focus on culture change as well. We have a lot of amazing officers in our department. And I want to be very clear to say that. This is not an indictment of every officer in our department at all, and I don't take it as that. Everywhere you have some good teachers, you have bad teachers, you have good doctors, you have bad doctors, you have good officers, and you have other officers who are misguided, and we will support those officers who are doing the work and who are working on policies and procedures and training, and we will hold accountable those who go astray. And so that is our promise, and that is our focus as we go forward. So thank you very much, and have a really great day and weekend. Happy holidays. Thank you. That's it. All right.